The Oyo Empire was once a dominant and influential power among the Yoruba people in what is now southwestern Nigeria. One of the key figures in the empire's decline was Afonja, a formidable military leader from Ilorin who held the prestigious title of Aare Ona Kakanfo. His actions played a central role in the eventual fall of Oyo in 1835, and his impact remains critical to understanding not only the fall of the empire, but also the broader history of Yorubaland. This video explores the role of Aare Ona Kakanfo Afonja in the final chapter of the Oyo Empire. The Oyo Empire arose in the savannah region of West Africa around the 1300s, north of the tropical forests where other Yoruba communities resided. Their location in the savannah gave Oyo a strategic military advantage. It allowed for the use of horses in warfare, which was not feasible further south due to the presence of the tsetse fly. With its powerful cavalry, Oyo expanded its influence across large portions of what is now northern and western Nigeria. Oyo even managed to colonize the kingdoms of Alada and parts of what is now the Republic of Benin. This expansion gave the empire direct access to European goods and trade, including collecting tributes from its vassal states. During the 18th century, Oyo's influence grew significantly due to its involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. The empire acted as a key intermediary between the Yoruba communities of the south, like the Egba and Ijebu, and the northern groups such as the Hausa, Nupe, and Bariba. Slaves worked in agricultural settings within Oyo, particularly in the cultivation of yams, and the surplus labor was exported to the coast. However, by the late 1700s, Oyo had become overly dependent on this trade. When the slave trade declined and eventually ceased, the empire's economy crumbled. This economic downturn led to internal unrest, and several subject territories began to resist Oyo's control. By 1835, the empire succumbed to external forces, particularly the Fulani armies from Ilorin. Oyo's territorial reach was vast, and by the mid-16th century, it had begun to take on the characteristics of a true empire. It initially rose to prominence by fending off attacks from the Bariba and Tapa, and once it stabilized, it began a series of expansions. Alaafin Obalokun was among the early monarchs who led this charge, establishing political agents, or ajeles, in newly conquered regions like Ibadan. This system allowed Oyo to manage far-reaching territories, with ajeles serving as colonial governors who oversaw local rulers and ensured tribute was sent back to the capital. In areas without established leadership, these ajeles effectively acted as regional kings. As long as Oyo's military remained unchallenged, this system helped.
The Alaafin lost the loyalty of powerful chiefs in the capital, and this erosion of support diminished Oyo's influence over its territories. By the second half of the 18th century, key military and civil figures began openly challenging the king's authority. One significant actor was Basharon Gaha, the head of the Oyo Messi, a council of 7 senior officials who advised and checked the Alaafin. Under Gaha's manipulation, the council forced several kings to commit ritual suicide, drastically undermining the monarchy. In 1750, Gaha orchestrated the deaths of 2 Alaafins, Labisi, who ruled for only 17 days, and Awon Bioju, who reigned for around 230 days. Even Alaafin Abiodun Adegolu, who came later, faced internal resistance and ultimately lost his life in a political coup. Afonja's story begins in this era of turmoil. He hailed from a powerful lineage. His grandfather, Laderin, was the founder of Ilorin. Afonja's father, Alugbin, ruled Ilorin between 1754 and 1770. Afonja himself rose to prominence in the late 18th century and eventually became the 6th Aare Ona Kakanfo, the military head of the empire. When Alaafin Aole came to power in 1789, tensions quickly escalated. In 1793, Aole ordered Afonja to attack his maternal homeland, Iwere Ile. Bound by an ancestral oath forbidding such an attack, Afonja refused. The situation deteriorated further in 1795 when Aole commanded him to assault Apomu, in Market Town near Ile-Ife, a sacred site in Yoruba culture. Although Afonja complied, upon returning he marched on the Oyo capital, sent the Alaafin an empty calabash, a symbol of rejection, and forced Aole to commit ritual suicide in 1796. Following Aole's death, Afonja began transforming Ilorin into an independent state. He allied himself with other dissatisfied chiefs and welcomed the support of Alimi, a Fulani Muslim cleric. Alimi's followers included freed slaves and Hausa warriors, whose strength significantly bolstered Afonja's forces. However, this alliance soon turned sour. Afonja, who remained a traditionalist and refused to convert to Islam, clashed with Alimi's growing influence. As power shifted away from him, Afonja realized he had lost control. The Fulani eventually betrayed him, and by 1824, Afonja was killed. After his death, Ilorin fell under Fulani control and became part of the Sokoto Caliphate. This marked the beginning of the Islamization of northern Yorubaland. Other Yoruba regions, like the Egba and Ijebu, took advantage of the weakening empire to assert their independence. Egba people founded Abeokuta in 1830, while others like the Ijebu and Ife also broke away. Attempts to recapture Ilorin after Afonja's death were unsuccessful. Disintegration of Oyo had begun, exacerbated by internal betrayal and the erosion of central authority. The once mighty empire was now reduced to scattered territories under siege from within and without.